Here is the tier list for season 3. Now, I don't know how to break it to you all. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but Druid is coming in dead last this season. They didn't really get any major buffs when we look at the patch notes that shift Druid's meta throughout the early or mid game, besides getting a decent case of thorns through the Prickle Skin Spirit boon, specifically for leveling, because they don't really have any sources of thorns or utilization of thorns later. And they just got generally indirect and direct nerfs in a few cases, and no buffs for its best builds. They're extremely unique item reliant, and overpower isn't going to be brutally overtuned until the late game now, because the affixes didn't get changed. It's just the initial bonus that it provides got changed. So Blizzard hates Druids, man, I swear to God. That Lightning Storm build kind of looks sick though. I'll test it out myself. And also Rabies is probably alright. Who knows? It's probably not viable in the same way that like minion builds aren't viable or whatever, because like the clear speed is so small. Whatever. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one too. Always number 4 and number 5. I get so much hate for these. But rogues are coming in at 4th this season. But that's more of a testament to how strong the next 3 classes are and where they're at balance-wise than a reflection on how strong Rogue is. Rogue is more viable than ever and has more options than ever, and its flexibility is unparalleled. But barring any more bugs, it's just not nearly as busted as the top 3 classes seem to be after reading through these patch notes. Fun fact though, they're still incredibly OP. Reign of Airs is going to be making a major breakout this season, as well as Barrage and Penetrating Shot and Prismatic Flurry. You're going to be seeing less Twisting Blades than ever, which is finally our reality. Next up, it breaks my heart to put Sorks in the middle of the pack, even though they really only received buffs. And I was saying that really any more increases to conjuration, damage, or effectiveness would push that archetype over the edge and take it to mountainous heights. And they've gone and given it like 4 or 5 buffs, like goddamn. Even with Ball Lightning nerfed to the ground, Blizzard and Fireball got small indirect buffs that make them even better when they were already S tier, and I did thorough testing on them. They have not been changed. I mean, we're gonna see a lot of Blizzard and a lot of Fireball this season specifically. And of course, there's the Meteor build that's going to be making its rounds, but that just goes to show how strong each class is now. If Sork's in this condition, which I would say is like nearly perfect all-rounder, and they're middle of the pack, because the next 2 classes are absolutely busted. Now, you probably think this is supposed to be at number 1 because a certain skill didn't really get nerfed and a certain uber unique didn't really get nerfed enough, or the interaction with a few perks didn't get changed or patched over or reworked in any way. Barbarians are coming in at number 2. Now hold on, let me explain. Let me go through Barbarian first, and then I'll explain why number 1 is at number 1. Okay. The smoothness of bleeding builds and their utility and quality of life was always the main problem, and now those are essentially getting fixed, so Hammer of the Ancients and Whirlwind are as powerful as ever, but there are more viable options now. So now every Barbarian isn't going to be playing the same exact build until they get Melted Heart of Selig, but until you get to that point, everything's totally fine. And I looked at that item specifically. It's still, the infinite loop isn't there, so you're not essentially invulnerable or immortal. You are mostly invincible or immortal, I guess you could say. So don't even worry. Like, there's no content in the game that can do that much damage to you anyway, so you don't need to worry about that small nerf to that item. And in fact, you're going to be dealing more damage, but take like 10% more damage. You're taking like 0.1% damage, and now you're going to be taking like 0.11% damage. Like, it's so dumb. Anyways, the leveling experience especially is being buffed in a major way, and if Bone Spirit wasn't going to be as strong as it's going to be, which I'll get to in a second, Barbs would easily take the number 1 spot, since they're going to be the fastest this season. They're the tankiest, they're the best boss killers, and have just enough AoE to be competitive in clear speed. Barbarians are godliness in season 3. If you wanted to feel like Hercules, now's the time to do it. Alright, for number 1, I always put the class with the best build in the number 1 spot, and that's going to be Bone Spirit this season on Necromancers. It'll probably get nerfed in the mid-season patch based off the numbers that I was running through my head and everything like that, so play it while you can, because they're not going to let things like Ball Lightning go untouched for 3 months. They'll let it go untouched for 1.5 months for some reason. Mark my words, and I don't say this often, but that shit is imba. Alright, I'll say this is insane, this is OP, this is godly, but man, no, this is just straight imbalanced. Make it right before it's not too late, Blizzard. Or actually don't, because I really want to test it and make a video and get a lot of views on that one. Hopefully. Yeah, we're about to have an even worse ball lightning on our hands. Like, Jesus. If it wasn't for Bone Spirit specifically, Necromancers would place at 3rd or 4th though. So do with that information what you will. It would be behind Barbarian and Sork very specifically. I think they're pretty much tied for Rogue in terms of like overall power and build viability. So, but their mobility is still a problem. But they actually added a decent amount of mobility to shadow damage over time necros. I'm not saying that the shadow damage minion necro hybrid type build is going to be as powerful or on par with any of these other like top tier builds, but it seems viable. I did a good bit of testing in season 2 with that kind of necromancer archetype, and I can say confidently that it's pretty good. So if they're just giving it a bunch of buffs, I would say it's probably gonna go above C tier now. I'm not sure if it's gonna land in B or A tier. Maybe it's gonna land in S tier because of the rework and buff to the Iron Golem, because that has a lot of thorns now. So we'll just see. But Necromancer's in the top spot because of Bone Spirit. So your standings for the season are gonna be Druids at 5th, Rogues, which is insane to say, Rogues at 4th, Sorks at 3rd, Barbarians at 2nd, but only because Bone Spirit exists at the number 1 spot with Necromancer. So, you know, like, it's gonna be a crazy season. And depending on what bugs arise with these skills and new aspect and unique item additions into the game, we'll see if there's an interaction like Tybalt's Will with combo points or just the ball lightning oversight. Like, we'll see. These are tentative. And of course, whatever you play should be your own meta, because there's like the effectiveness or clear speed meta, but what really matters is that whoever's winning is having the most fun. Wait. Whoever's having the most fun is winning. Okay, whoops. Freudian slip there. Because that's what I actually think. Because I'm going to get first place in the race, even though I'm playing Druid. Yeah. It's just funny that I decided to play Druid this season, and now I feel like they're the worst class. Yeah, anyways, I'm going to get to level 100 as soon as possible and then switch classes. So I will see you guys out there.